So now we've made our button circuits, but how do we use the button circuits? In this project, we're going to show you how to modify the old Pong game that you've built to use the buttons instead of the keyboard. If you remember, in the game, the paddle code did a right arrow key and a left arrow key to change X by plus and minus 10. And when the game was played, I can move this to hit the ball until I lose. So what we're going to do to change this is we're going to pull these if clauses out, and I'm just going to duplicate this just in case I want to put, and I'm going to get rid of the right arrow key and the left arrow key, and instead I'm going to use these sensor value blocks. So I'll need 2 of those, and what I'm going to do is when the sensor value readout is equal to 0, meaning when the button is not pressed, it's 1. When I press it, it gives a 0 to the Raspberry Pi. So actually I can just duplicate this, can't I? Right? And I'll set those sensor values in a second. When I do this right now, I don't see my GPIO pins on here because I have to configure those pins. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to bring out 3 broadcasts, and I'm going to go ahead and drop these in just to clean things up here. And drop this in. There we go. And my first broadcast is to set up the GPIO pins. So it's GPIO server on, and spelling does matter. And then I need a couple more broadcasts to configure each pin. Now I'm going to configure these pins as inputs because I'm waiting for an input from the button. So I'm going to say config 14 in, and then I'm going to say config 15 in, because those are the 2 GPIO pins I used, were 14 and 15. And I want to drop this in right after the when green flag clicked. Now the first time when I run this code and I come down here to my slider values, I'll see GPIO 14 and GPIO 15. And so now if we bring the buttons in, if I've done everything correctly, I hit the green flag, I should be able to move my paddle with the keys and play the game until I lose. And that's how you use the buttons. So right and left wired up to 14 and 15.